Welcome to Creative Conversations. I'm Roger Humphrey. In this episode, composer and conductor Victoria Bond makes a return visit to talk about her new album, Dancing on Glass. We also talk about premieres of some of her new music, various performances, and operas. Anyway, Victoria is a true American artist who sets the standards very high for everyone else. So please settle in for a very enjoyable half hour. Hey, before we begin, please hit the like, follow, or subscribe buttons down there and any of the other buttons you happen to see. It's an easy thing to do, and it really helps to raise the morale in the room. Also, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Your opinion is very important to me. Thanks. And we are welcoming to the back to the program, as you said, a repeat offender. Victoria Bond, a wonderful composer and conductor. Thank you so much for taking time to offend with me.
Always, always a pleasure to speak with you.
So you've been a busy woman. Holy mackerel, you got a whole lot of stuff going on. And you just did a thing. You conducted a Bernstein tribute the other day.
Indeed. Yes,
Can we
indeed.
talk about that a little bit? What was that?
Sure.
That was part of the Village Trip Festival, right?
Yes, exactly. So the Village Trip Festival is this wonderful, all-encompassing event about all things Greenwich Village: music, poetry, literature, walking tours. It's a wonderful festival. And my own organization, Cutting Edge Concerts, has been collaborating with them for about 3 years. But this concert was just a village trip concert, which was a whole weekend of Bernstein tributes. And this was the first one. So I had the privilege of working with Nina Bernstein, Bernstein's daughter,
Uh-huh.
and she narrated the Carnival of the Animals, narrated it beautifully. And we also did the Candide Overture.
Wow.
We had a wonderful chamber orchestra, and it was a great event. There were two young soloists, one pianist who played the first movement of the Haydn D major piano concerto, and one a singer who sang Bernstein's "I Hate Music," and
I love that piece, actually. I really
yeah, and also "I Feel Pretty." And then a Copland arrangement of All the Pretty Little Horses. So it was a grand event. We had a packed house and a very enthusiastic audience, and it was fun to be conducting. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
How can you go wrong?
Oh, let me count the ways. It ain't over till it's over.
Yep. Wait, make sure you get that encore in and then bolt for the back door. So,
No,
yeah,
the orchestra played beautifully. We had really one rehearsal and a dress rehearsal, so not a lot of time for a challenging program.
you must have had some really terrific musicians and to be able to do that.
Yes, we actually did.
That's I just working with other musicians, and I've done that in chamber music and sit down with a couple of players and problem with being a teacher and particularly teaching young children and hobbyists and such, which I most of my career. Um, the danger there is that if I'm doing duets with them, I'm always worried in watching their part, you know.
Hmm.
And so I had to when I started doing chamber music, I had to learn how to trust the other musicians.
Ah, yes,
Right,
yes.
and just pay attention on my own, take care of my own business,
Hmm.
and once you do that, and if you got some good musicians, man, that's a challenge, and that's a different kind of challenge, just being able to keep up with the Joneses. So,
Well, actually, one of the important jobs of the conductor is to encourage players to listen to each other.
yeah,
So when we've got that, and particularly with an ensemble that doesn't play together all the time, that is of paramount importance.
so yeah, I've got to believe that. So, um, uh, just I do a little conducting of an amateur guitar. Group. We have about 15 members, and we do three-part music, so sort of like a guitar choir, if you will.
Hmm.
And I conduct them. Unfortunately, I've got a couple of really terrific professionals who are ringers that kind of set in each of the sections and kind of snap everybody into into
Hmm.
place, you know. But yeah, it's I have to learn. I'm not a trained conductor by any stretch, and I'm God, I'm barely potty trained, but so so it's helpful to have them be able to do that. And sometimes it's just like, whew, it takes a lot of the load off when you've got some seriously good players in there. You don't have to worry about them too much. But
Well, the interesting thing about the Carnival of the Animals is that it's mini concertos. There's a soloist, a bass soloist, there's the cello soloist playing the swan, which is everyone's favorite animal,
sure.
and the flute, a very virtuosic flute part, and the clarinet solo. So all of these instruments have solo appearances in kind of a concerto setting. So it was a lot of fun, and I was happy to grant and to trust those wonderful players who played so beautifully.
I had never thought of that piece as mini concertos. And the minute you said that, it just like, of course, you know.
Hmm.
So and
Right.
yeah, and it's just one of those pieces. It's fun to listen to, and I've
Hmm.
played the Swan as a solo. I mean, everybody, it's like
Everybody.
everybody's got to play the Swan at least once. So
Yeah.
so you've got and we're talking about that. You mentioned the cutting edge. You've got your first. Your first concert was part of the Village Trip thing for part of your concert series. Has that happened or is that coming up?
It's coming up on Wednesday.
Okay.
And that's a concert called The Poets of Patchen Place. Patchen Place is a very tiny street. It's really called a muse because it's not a through street, but it is a street. And historically, the people who lived on that street were Juna Barnes, a well-known author, and E. E. Cummins.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so Bill Anderson, who is one of the composers on the concert.
He was a guest on the show recently, so.
Oh, good, okay, and one of his pieces is being featured, which is a setting of Juna Barnes' poetry. My piece is a setting of James Joyce, the penultimate episode in Ulysses, which is Leopold Bloom's homecoming. As you know, Ulysses is the wanderings of Leopold Bloom and Stephen Daedalus through in one day, June 16th. And when Bloom comes home, he isn't. He sees his wife, Molly. He talks with her. He has his thoughts. And then the very last section, which I've also said, but it's not going to be on this program, is the Molly Bloom soliloquy. And so this is the section that comes right before it, originally written for tenor and piano, but now arranged for baritone and piano with the wonderful soloist Michael Kelly and John Arida on the piano. So I'm going to a rehearsal this afternoon, and this will be the first time that I've actually heard them do this. So I'm
Oh,
looking
exciting.
forward to it. Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's kind of
Especially,
exciting, kind of
especially
exciting for a composer to hear their piece for the first time.
Well, particularly since I know Michael's singing, and he's sung a number of my works before, and he's a wonderful interpreter. And the lifeblood of a composer is to work with musicians who bring their own artistry to something. So it really comes alive in their interpretation. So I am very much looking forward to this.
Do you ever, when somebody else is interpreting one of your pieces, do you ever hear them do something that you just go, "Oh, I didn't know I did that."
Absolutely, happens all the time. Happens all the time, and that's what I love is when a soloist uses my music to express something in their own emotion, in their own life. That is really, as I say, we've communicated on a very deep level when that happens, and I love it.
So when you have a piece like this that's coming up, and you decide that you're going to set this to music, A, how do you discover it, and B, what about it says makes you want to do that?
I particularly like James Joyce because his words are so very musical. He was a singer. He was very literate in music, both um, popular Irish music as well as classics and opera. And so his words are music. all I have to do as a composer is find the music that's already in the words. So that is my job.
Wow. That's very poetic. It's kind of coming around full circle here, you know.
And I've set 4 episodes from Ulysses, and I'm planning to put them all into an opera. They're all set for different voices and different ensembles. So I'm going to meld those all into an opera and probably keep adding to it. The Ulysses is kind of my life's work. It's my ring. And so whether it's going to be 4 separate operas, I don't know how long each one is going to be. I know already that I've got more than 2 hours of music with these 4 episodes. So
Wow.
yeah, so it will grow.
So, and you have a new CD out.
Yes.
Man, the grass just does not grow under your feet, does it?
No, no, no grass.
Dancing on Glass is the new CD. Has that been released yet?
It's going to be released October 3rd.
Okay, so that's coming up soon.
Yes, yes,
A
indeed.
week and a half, 8 days, something like that. So can we talk about that? What do we got on?
Absolutely. Yes, of course. So the first piece on the CD, which is the title of the CD, Dancing on Glass, is a string trio, violin, viola, and cello. And it was originally commissioned by a Chinese ensemble called the Jade Ensemble. And it is based around a Chinese folk song called the Liu Yang River. Now, this particular folk song was adapted as a patriotic song, and it became very popular. So now a lot of people in China know this song, not from its original roots as a folk song, but as a patriotic song. But what I found interesting about its original roots, which the leader of the Jade Trio told me, was that it was generally sung by beggars outside the city wall, and they would sing this song and accompany themselves on a drum.
Oh,
Thought this was very interesting picture in my mind.
sure.
And so there's one movement where the player is doing what they call coleño, which is using the wood of the bow to hit the strings, not playing the strings
Oh, okay.
with the string part of the bow, but rather with the wooden part of the bow, which to me kind of symbolized the drum.
So kind of taking the bow and turning it upside down and then tapping across
That's
the string.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Wow.
is a technique that is used by players. It's not something I invented. It's been around for a long time, but
Uh-huh.
it just seemed to be very appropriate for this particular song.
Gotcha. That sounds fascinating. So what else do we have on that we can
So
look into?
then we have 2 works for 2 pianos. One of the works is a concerto, and concertos have a second piano part so that the soloist can practice before he or she does it with an orchestra.
Sure.
But that had never been recorded. So now, and I heard these 2 extraordinary players, and I said, "Oh, we have to record this because you're just so fantastic." So I decided we're going to record the 2 piano version of this concerto, and then there was another piece called Binary, which was originally written for 2 pianos. This was commissioned by Paul Shenley and Music Fest. And I called it Binary for 2 pianos. And then Paul Shenley, and it was performed by 2 pianists in East Hampton, which is where the festival takes place. And then Paul Shenley said, well, binary means 2, so why don't you have 2 movements?
No
So,
pressure there.
yeah, that's right. So I added a second movement to it, and that is the version that is recorded now. And these extraordinary pianists, Madeline Rogers and Florencia Zulenga, I'm probably mispronouncing her last name, but I don't have it in front of me. She was just wonderful. Both of these pianists have worked together on other things. And so I thought this is a great new way to bring these 2 pieces to an audience. And so those are the 3 works on the CD.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. I got to get a hold get my grubby little paws on that so I can listen to it.
Mm.
I do love
I'll
your music.
make sure. I'll make sure you get a CD.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. So, and then there's you have a new piece called Lingerie.
Yes. This is a very humorous piece commissioned by a group called the Whistling Hens. And that title comes from a name that Nadia Boulanger, a very derogatory name, Nadia Boulanger called women composers.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yes, yes,
I
very
didn't.
surprising. Why
I
would she
had
do
no
that?
idea. I mean, I've always been a fan of Nadia Boulanger, but I
Right.
had no idea that she was kind of down on women composers.
And her sister was such an Lily Boulanger was
Yeah.
such an extraordinary composer herself. So at any rate, they took this title as a humorous title, and they're both wonderful actresses. Well, one is a clarinetist and one is a singer, and they're wonderful actresses as well as musicians. So I wrote this piece specifically for their strengths, and it is all about the experiences that women have with various pieces of lingerie, a brassiere, a shapewear, which is what used to be called a girdle, a lingerie, nightgown, all sorts of scenarios of what is happening with these particular pieces of underwear.
Good and bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, mostly bad. That's what makes it funny.
That the whole concept just makes me laugh. I mean, humorous, I think, is kind of a not strong enough word here.
Right. No, this is definitely belly laugh time, and I'm very excited about not only hearing but seeing them perform this. We will have a video.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I
So
think that classical music in general, and particularly contemporary classical, is so serious all the time.
right.
It is kind of nice to just kind of put on your silly hat and get after it. You know,
Well, some of my favorite composers like Mozart and Haydn had this irrepressible sense of humor, which they, of course, expressed in their music. So I love that, and particularly with Mozart as an opera person, an opera like Don Giovanni, which combines the riotously funny with the tragic, very Shakespearean kind of experience. So I like that because then it gives you that contrast. And if you want to express something really tragic and um, uh, sad is not the right word, but really tragic, then you have a contrast to it. So if people are following you into this deep, dark, um, un, uncompletely explored cavern,
right,
of sadness, then bringing them out with something life affirming and funny is, I think, dramatically very satisfying to have that huge contrast
right.
between, the tragic and almost slapstick sometimes.
The stories of Mozart's sense of humor in his composing, if once you get into it, you realize just how what kind of a goof this guy was.
Oh,
And and
absolutely,
and,
yes.
and a couple of my favorite stories. One was he had a friend who played French horn, what we call French horn, but they were valveless at the time. So
Hmm.
so everything was either through the fist and the bell or through the embouchure. And
Hmm.
and one of the things that they don't particularly care for are apparently, I'm told, are rapid scale passages. So he wrote a piece for his friend who played horn that had all these rapid scale passages just to watch him squirm.
Right, right. Cruel, cruel.
So, I mean, if you're not a player, if you're not a historian or anything like that, that would go right past you. But
Right, you would not.
once you understand it, and there was another one that he wrote, an aria for a soprano that he did.
That's right. And the soprano happened to be his librettist's girlfriend.
Oh,
And
okay.
he couldn't stand this woman. And so he wrote something that went very high and very low because she used to lift her head up when she sang high notes and down when she sang low notes. And so it goes leaps from the highest to the lowest register many times. And he said he did that just because he wanted to see her head bob up and down like a chicken. And he said, like a chicken.
So, and people think that classical music is so serious. Little do they.
Yes. Little do they know.
That's hilarious. I love that story. I absolutely, I remember reading that for the first time, and I just literally laughed out loud as much as I did right here. So,
Good.
and in New York City at night, what do we have?
Yes.
What's this?
Okay, the story behind that is I was commissioned by a very wonderful Danish orchestra called Concerto Copenhagen.
Okay.
And they are going to premiere it on November 1st in Copenhagen.
Oh,
And I'm going to be there. So I'm going to Denmark. Yes, I'm going to Denmark to hear this. The piece is based on paintings of Georgia O'Keeffe when she lived in New York City.
oh,
And so these are all paintings, not the typical ones of landscape, skulls, flowers. This is New York skyscrapers and city streets and street lights, and the moon is seen between tall buildings. So it's Georgia O'Keeffe's wonderful original outside the box sensitivity to images, but all focused on New York City. And uh, being somebody who to whom jazz is part of my musical vocabulary right now, and New York city streets sometimes suggest very jazzy things to me. So the first movement is based on a fast moving jazz bass, boom, 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 something like that,
uh-huh.
and with solos, little snippets of solos that come together later on, and
I
then
have. Go
yeah,
ahead.
go.
Go ahead.
And then there's a slow movement, which is on her painting of a street lamp on in front of a building with a moon in the far distance. And what struck me so much about this particular scene was that the street lamp, the way she painted it, it appears to be pulsing.
Oh,
Pulsing, yeah. And the moon is way, way, way in the distance. And then there are these large skyscrapers looming on either side. And I thought that was a really striking image. So that's what inspired that particular movement.
now was that on commission or was that?
Yes, this is a commission. I actually got paid very nicely. Surprise, surprise.
Yay! Gosh, a musician that actually makes a living. Who'd have thought?
Yeah,
So,
that's the science fiction book. A musician makes a living.
yes, it's embarrassing, but it's true. I know that one of my guests and leader of a small group that I really like also is Christine Prin from
Oh yes, Christine is.
Rudisell. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, she performed on Cutting Edge Concerts last season.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and she did a piece of mine, a trio, violin, cello, and piano.
She's yeah. So I mean that whole group.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
So they apparently have a pretty good what do I want to say home for new music. They're a good taste
Mm-hmm.
for new
Mm-hmm.
in Denmark in general.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
So you don't really think of it as I you don't think of classical music as having pockets of interest. I don't think, or at least I never did.
Oh,
And
yes.
and it most certainly does. So yeah, she was wonderful. So and she has
Mhm.
played one of your pieces. I had forgotten that she was on Cutting Edge last year.
Yes, yeah. This past season, 2025.
So wow, that's yeah. So what's new with Cutting Edge? I mean, how many concerts will you be doing this year?
We'll be doing three concerts coming up in 2026, and one of them is an
Oh,
opera by Laura Schwendinger. And I can't tell you more about it because I don't know that much about it yet because I'm focused on the next concerts coming up. But
uh-huh.
That will be in April. We're having a wonderful Cuban pianist, Jose Lopez, performing Cuban composers, contemporary Cuban composers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Sarah Kim, a Korean um, violinist, performing Korean music, and a piece that I wrote for her based on, it's called Women of Note. And one of them is a Korean artist who I was not familiar with. Again, I don't have it in front of me. What I can do is I can send you all of the information, the specifics of what each movement is and what the
Uh-huh.
artists are that I'm basing it on.
Cool.
So that's one concert. And then the Whistling Hens are going to be doing my lingerie on the season. And so that's where we'll get the videotape because I have all of my concerts, both audio and video recorded. And the reason for that is because video, the kind of recording that you get from a video camera is not the same quality as when you have a dedicated audio engineer recording a concert. So I
Right.
always have my two wonderful teammates, David Merrill and Jaime Valles, and they put it together and we get a wonderful video with excellent sound.
So I'm gonna have to get make sure that all of this information goes out on my blog, my weekly blog, so that people and try to get it in a timely fashion, a couple of weeks early, so that people know and so on and so forth. I'm a little lax on that from time to time. So so
Well, our first concert of the 26 season's not until March, and the next one is April, and the next one is May. So we do have some time because I'll be away in Europe before that
sure.
in the fall. So this is why we're getting started in March.
How many seasons have you done Cutting Edge now?
27.
Wow, that's just
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it all started when I was living outside of New York. I was living in Virginia when I was music director of the Roanoke Symphony and artistic director of Opera Roanoke. And when I came back to New York, a friend of mine said you should have get in touch with Greenwich House because they have what's called a portrait series, which is a portrait of each artist. And so that happened, and I invited all my New York friends to perform on it. And it was such a success that Greenwich House said, gee, this is great. Let's do a series. And that's music to my ears.
Of
So
course.
that's how it all started at Greenwich House. And then eventually we moved up to uptown to Symphony Space. And now this concert, September 24th, this coming Wednesday, is going to be in Greenwich Village. It's going to be at the Salmagundi Club on 12th Street and Fifth Avenue. Wonderful artists club. We performed there before as part of the collaboration between Cutting Edge Concerts and the Village Trip. So we now have both a downtown performance and our uptown performances at Symphony Space, which is at 95th Street and Broadway. So it's
Wow.
Cutting Edge Concerts on Broadway.
Well, now that's cool. That's
Yeah,
that's a banner.
yeah, right.
So what you have coming up that we should know about?
Goodness. Well, a piano quintet, which is also based on paintings by Georgia O'Keeffe. And she's been an artist that I've focused on in the immediate, well, in the past and immediate future. So having set her painting blue and green music, that's what got me started.
Ah,
So that's in the works, a piano quintet. Also exciting, an opera that I'm working with two wonderful collaborators, Doug Fitch and Stephen Greco. Doug Fitch being a puppeteer, a dramaturg, a director, and Stephen Greco being my librettist and also very knowledgeable about music. Now, the opera is based on Gulliver's Travels. But when
oh,
people think of Gulliver's Travels, they think of, the children's movie with the giants and the Lilliputians and not much more than that.
right.
Well, the subject matter is, of course, political satire.
Uh-huh.
which is a dangerous subject these days. So we like to wade into dangerous waters.
Yeah, we
And
don't we
it's
don't want masked men showing up at your door, but
That's right. They may show up and close down the opera, but we're just in the process of writing it. And who knows, it may take us 4 years, so we may be okay. We've actually written a lot of it already. But the opening scene, which is brand new, I love working with other artists. And these two collaborators give me so much energy and ideas that we're constantly looking at the work and seeing how we can adjust it. It's been in the works for about 3 or 4 years already, and
uh-huh.
we've had a number of workshops, and we are planning to use puppets, as you can imagine, with the giants and the Lilliputians and the horses. Puppets are the most appropriate to this.
Yeah.
So the opening scene is very much about people getting deported and about babies being snatched from their mothers. And so subjects that are right there in Jonathan Swift, who is the author of Gulliver's Travels.
Right.
There are a lot of issues that are very similar to our current times. So it is an opera that will have fun and funny things and things that young audiences would enjoy, but it's basically geared at the child in every adult, or the adult in every child, whichever way you want to look at it. It's appropriate for both.
Sounds like a perfect fodder for Broadway. Sounds like a great, great.
Broadway. I don't know if you read the New York Times this morning,
I
but
did not.
Broadway is hurting right now. Even the classics are not getting the audience that they had. So, Broadway's too expensive. We'll go more the experimental way into smaller theaters.
There you go. There you go. I go back to the idea that I like smaller anyway. I just great anymore at my age.
Mhm.
I just find that the symphony I love, opera I love, but small recital halls I really love. You know,
Mm,
and I just that intimacy and just there's something about that I just gives me the warm and fuzzy feelings.
mm. Speaking of opera, there is a new book about Victoria Woodhull, who is the heroine of my opera, Mrs. President,
All
because
right.
Victoria Woodhull was the first woman to run for president of the United States.
Right.
And there's been a lot written about her, but there is a brand new book. And if you give me a second, I can go into the other room and get it. But if people just look online, a
Okay.
new book about Victoria Woodhull, and my opera, Mrs. President, of course, is about
Right.
her,
We
and
talked about that.
so many aspects of that also pertain directly to our current politics.
Yeah, that's that. Gosh, I love that. I love that. People don't realize that sometimes I think, the problem. I don't want to whine. Uh, when we look at modern entertainment in general and popular music, regardless of however you feel about any of the artists, um, they tend to suck all the oxygen out of the room. They get all
Mm,
the attention, and we've got so much going on here,
hmm.
and I think that people I think would relate to it and
Yeah,
enjoy it if they would give it a chance, but they're kind of enamored with the flashy, glitzy, celebrity-driven stuff that goes
yeah,
on
right.
the other side of the street.
It's
And
very superficial.
it is. It's just people don't want to listen to the music so much as they want to just have the music hit them and they don't they can hear it without really listening to it and then they
Oh, that's very true.
and if they would take 5 minutes, and I get off my soapbox here in a second, but if they take 5 minutes and listen to other stuff that's going on, I think they would be, and it's not that they would have to give up anything. You don't have to stop listening to the stuff that you like. You can just kind of add to it. It's
Well,
okay. It's okay to
well,
like
look,
steak and Reese's peanut butter cups. You can do both.
well, looking into the far future after these projects are all done, I am planning to go back to my work on Ulysses and create an opera or several operas and add to it with more episodes. So that is my ring. That's kind of my life's project. And if nobody commissions me, that's okay. This is a work I have to do.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to that. So, well, Victoria, believe it or not, I think we're just about to the end of our rope here.
Hey, end of our rope.
And I know you've got a rehearsal to prepare for, so I'm going
Yes,
to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and being persistent with some of the technical difficulties that we had off camera. But I appreciate very much you taking the time to do this, and I hope we get a chance to do it again, especially when Ulysses comes out.
great, wonderful. Well, it's always a pleasure to speak with you, Roger.
Thank you, Victoria. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Victoria for taking the time to talk about all of her amazing projects. If you would like to know more or get one of her albums, you can just visit her website. There is a link in the description below. Also, don't forget to go to www.rogerhumphrey.com and subscribe to my blog. It's a great way to get updates on all of my guests. And I promise, no spam, ever. And thank you also for spending time with us. Don't forget to grab some friends and share some of your favorite episodes of Creative Conversations with Roger Humphrey.